grateful for God and all that he has done for me. I'm just grateful for God and all that he has brought me through. I'm even grateful for God for allowing me to go through the stuff that I went through that I would have preferred not to go through. I am grateful to God because I'm grateful for the lessons learned. Note says here, call all that the great escapes. Have you ever just seen people that causes your heart to be filled with compassion, that makes you want to give, that makes you want to do, that makes you want to help? I want to encourage you today to show mercy, show grace, show mercy, give grace in those situations, because just like you were grateful when God did it for you, understand me that they are grateful when you do it for them. And it doesn't have to be any great thing. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I just want to give you an example. This weekend, I saw a man parked by the dumpster in my complex, and he had a blanket and he was digging through the dumpster for things, and he had been there for hours. And I noticed that his t-shirt was soiled, and it wasn't raining outside, and it wasn't really hot to be sweaty, but it was soiled and it was dirty. And I asked him, because I had a whole bunch of old used t-shirts. And I said, hey babe, would you like to have some t-shirts? And he said, yes. I said, I'll be right back and I'll bring them to you. And I brought them to him. And literally, and we're talking about seeing someone in need and you meeting that need. And I'm talking about literally the man went through the t-shirts and he took his t-shirt off. And I think the first one was too small, and he went through t-shirts and he found a t-shirt that could fit him. And he put on a new t-shirt right there, stripped right there. So I'm asking you again, have you ever seen somebody that caused compassion to be filled in your heart? And as I was walking away from him, I had to go somewhere. And then I came back and he was still there fumbling around the dumpster. And I looked at him and I said, hey babe, are you hungry? Would you like something to eat? I had just got through eating a rotisserie chicken, which somebody brought to me. And he said yes, and had still half a rotisserie chicken left. And you might think, you gave that man something you had already eaten. Yes, I did. It was on the stove and I was going to eat it again later. And so I put the rotisserie chicken in the bag. I put a half a loaf of bread in the bag, and I put some mayonnaise packets, some mustard packets, all kinds of condiments that I just grabbed a whole bunch of condiments, put it in the bag. I put a Coke in the bag. I put a Sprite in the bag. I put a nutritional drink in the bag. I just filled the bag with everything that I could think of and gave him a little pouch of hand sanitizer because I knew he would need that, because he'd been digging through the dumpster all day. What am I saying about that? I get called on a lot to help a lot of different people, to do a lot of different things. And I said to the person I was with, I would rather help that person than to help people who are ungrateful, to help people who are not givers, to help people who have and they're blinded. I would rather, it gives my heart joy to help someone like that than to help an unappreciative soul. So I started cutting people off and cutting people out of my life because of their inability to show that they are grateful, their inability to give grace where it's needed. And so I guess that's why I'm so sensitive this morning about the things that God has done for me. It makes me want to do for others because I know what God did for me. And yes, they were for some physical things. This ministry came to be because when I burned down my own house accidentally burning down family pictures who were showing themselves not to be real family, no family love. When I accidentally burned down my house, I had little to no help. Little to no help. And the few people that did come to help me, Little Rock Baptist Church men's group came and they helped me empty out the house and put stuff in the dumpster, break it down. Some Job Corps kids came and helped me to break the bricks down and put them in the dumpster. Disability, something disability group helped Miss I can't remember her name, but she got a dumpster for me, and the dumpsters kept coming every time they got filled, and I didn't have to pay for the dumpsters. I mean, she got huge dumpsters for me. Miss Kathy, that was her name, with something disability. So I had a little help, and the people that I would have expected to help me didn't help me. So this ministry was birthed. We're in the middle of our fundraiser. We are this year doing things different. We are raffling off a Keurig coffee maker, single cup. This ministry came to be because after God put my life back together somewhat, and it's still not complete, I still desire to have a home and live in a house and do reconstruction and design. So everything's not complete, but I'm grateful. And this morning I'm sensitive, thinking about this man and thinking about how God uses me to help other people. And then because of what I was doing, the person that I was with looked at the man and they gave me some money and they said, here, give them this. And I got out of the car and I gave the man the money. And at first he didn't see it. And then when he saw what it was, he said, oh, wow, I could have gas for a whole week. The man speaks kind of British like. I could tell he's not from this area. And I walked away, and the person who gave me the money to give to them, I said, don't that give you joy? Because that person's not necessarily a great big giver either, but because they saw, they gave what they had, and what they had, all that they had to give this man, because he had been given food, he had been given clothes, he's still sitting out there. And I don't know why, but this person just reached in their pocket and they said, here, Patricia, give them this. And I gave it to the man, and the man looked, and then he looked again. He said, oh, wow, I could have gas for a whole week. Today, we're talking about being all in. Being all in on the faith. We've talked about who is and who's not a child of God, and how to get saved, and how the attributes of a believer, to be loving, to be kind, to be peaceful, to show justice and show mercy and show grace. Honor whatsoever is honorable, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is just. And these things, these are the things, these are the attributes that are exhibited in the life of the believer. And this morning I'm talking about being all in, being all in. So seeing this man and being able to give to this man, it just filled my heart. And then to think about him this morning, it just filled my heart. And yesterday, I guess I must saw him on Friday. Yesterday, I got up, I walked out the door to the sidewalk, and I looked down to the dumpster to see if he was there, and he wasn't there. Most of you probably would have called your apartment manager and say, we got a homeless man parked by the dumpster. But when you see people like this, these people, this is what Jesus looks like. Matthew chapter 25, verse 34 through 39. Jesus says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was without shelter, you took me in. When I was prison and sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you visited me. It's not hard to be all in. It really is not. If you just ask God, God, just show me something, show me someone, cause me to be able to be a blessing, to glorify you today. And it's not like after we do this, like the evangelists come on to share with you, to be honest with you, to be transparent with you, so that you can get some example of what it means to be all in on the faith. I come and I share these stories, but I don't share these stories to say that, oh, look, the evangelist is great. I share these stories because I want to motivate you. I want to encourage you to be all in. Today, we're going to be looking at the book of Ephesians, chapter 2. And we're going to find the Apostle Paul telling the people who are believers. He said, don't forget that you used to be like this. Don't forget you used to do the things that the people do in the world. Don't forget. And he ends and he says something like, you have been saved by grace and not of yourself. So in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1, it says in the New Living Translation, you were once dead because of your disobedience and many sins. You used to live in sin, just like the rest of the world, obeying the devil, the commander of the powers of the unseen world. He is the spirit that works in the hearts of those who refuse to obey God. Stop. You were once dead because of, we're saved now. We're not dead anymore. We're alive. But Paul is saying to these who are now believers and are alive, Paul is saying to them, you were once dead because you were like everybody else in the world because of your disobedience, because you refused to obey God. There was a time, basically, Paul is saying, don't forget. Paul is saying, remember, you used to do the same thing, that you're looking at people in the world and you're judging them and you're not compassionate to them. You were dead once because of your disobedience and your many sins. The many sins that you used to do. You used to be dead in your sins because of your disobedience to God. He said, you used to live in sin. You used to do this. You used to do that. You used to smoke. You used to do drugs. You used to have sex outside of marriage. You used to be the adulterer. You used to be the fornicator. You used to be the one that was the home wrecker, the secret sins that nobody knew about. That used to be you. Paul is saying you used to live in sin just like the world. And when we lived in sin, Paul is saying you were obeying the devil. Obeying the devil. Paul is saying, when I did what I did, I had somebody that I was honoring and obeying, and he was the devil. He was the commander of the powers of the unseen world. He is the commander. Think about the military. Think about the president being the commander in chief of the United States of America. But Paul is saying this spirit is the commander in chief of the entire unseen world. And you used to obey him when you used to honor him. You used to obey him when you lived in disobedience in your sin. How did you live in disobedience once upon a time? You knew the things that God had you to do. You knew the things that God told you not to do. But you used to choose God, the devil, over God. It just seemed easier. God would understand. Surely he'll understand me. He is the Spirit at work in the hearts of those who refuse to obey God. There are some in the world, he is saying. He, the devil, the commander of the unseen world, is at work in the hearts of those who refuse him. They obey the spirit of the unseen commander in the world. They may not know it. And sometimes you see people, could be family, definitely young people. I have a great nephew recently out of jail, just had a baby. His grandmother, his maternal grandmother just said, oh, he had a baby. And I said to him, are you going to do good? Are you going to be there for your baby like you wish your dad had been for you? And he said, yeah, grandma, and I said, do you believe in me? She said, well, I say, well, you know what we do? I say, just like when God told us to do something when we were younger, and we said, I wish I could do that. One day I will do that. I'm having a hard time doing that. Sometimes all we can do is sow seeds of faith in our children. We open our mouth and we say things to them that they need to hear, that we know right now they're not going to receive anything we say, but you plant it. That's you planting, you speaking these words in their ears so that they could hear. And then we go in our secret place and we pray to God for our children. We see their needs. We see what they're going through. And that's how we water. We plant, we water, we sow, we see them. There's nothing we can do for them, but we remember that there was a time that I was just like that. There was a time that I was in the world this very same way. I was filled with disobedience, and we cannot give up on our children. When my son was young, in high school young, oh, he wanted to be in the world so bad. And I think he even dabbed into using drugs for a minute, but he had a crazy praying mama who just wouldn't let him go. I was as crazy and ambitious about saving my son as my mother was about me. My mother, she knew that I would be lost if it wasn't for her prayers. And she didn't mind getting physical with me because she knew, and I was her worst child. And my son, he wasn't my worst because my daughter taught my son how to do what he did. He watched her, and he 6 years younger did what she did, but he did it well. And I was old, and I was old, and I was drinking, and I was tired. And I'm like, I'm tired of fighting with this boy, but I didn't give up. There have been mothers that I have seen. One mother, she said she was tired and the son then got kicked out of school and she didn't know what to do and they were disobedient and rebellious. And I say, honey, sometimes you got to fight your own kids to save your kids. Sometimes you've got to wrestle with your kids to save your kids, because it is not them. It is the commander of the powers in the unseen world working in them to cause them to continue to be disobedient to God. Paul said all of us used to live that way. We used to follow the passionate desires and inclinations of our own sinful nature. We all used to live this way, Paul is saying. Paul is saying, don't you remember? Don't forget. You used to be just like this. And so when we see them, when we see our loved ones, there's a man right now who is caught up, locked down in Harrison County Jail in the belly of the whale, just locked down. The last time I saw him in July, he was homeless, and I told him how the city of Gulfport now had authority through the Supreme Court to arrest homeless people and lock them up for disobeying local ordinances, little small ordinances. Good morning, my sister. I see you there, Elder Brown. Thank you for being with us. He's locked down